Greetings, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. This event will be conducted simultaneously in English and Spanish. If you would like to hear the presentation in English, please stay in this English channel. And if you would like to listen to this presentation in Spanish, you will need to join the Spanish-speaking translation room. We will provide instructions on how to enter the Spanish language room on the next slide. Saludos a todos. Este evento se llevará a cabo simultáneamente en inglés y español. Si desea escuchar la presentación en inglés, por favor quédese en esta sala principal. Si desea escuchar la presentación en español, deberá unirse a la sala de translación en español. Proporcionamos instrucciones cómo ingresar a la sala de español en la siguiente dispositiva. La interpretación en español va a abrir en un momento. Si ven una ventana que dice Interpretation, tienes que hacerle clic y luego hacerle clic otra vez en donde diga Spanish para que te lleve a la sala de interpretación. O si tienes dificultad, por favor, dinos en el chat o levanta la mano en la opción Raise Hand de Zoom. I have opened up the Spanish interpretation room, and you should be able to enter the Spanish room now. To join the Spanish interpretation, select the interpretation icon at the bottom of your screen, and a pop-up window will enable you to choose the Spanish room. Click on Spanish and it should work. And if you are having problems joining the Spanish room, please speak up or raise your hand. Okay. All right, now that we have the people in their Spanish room, hopefully, let's start the Financial Incentive Clinic. Thanks to all our attendees for joining us. I'd like to start off by introducing myself and my Actera colleagues. My name is Irvin Rivero. I'm the Beneficial Electrification Associate. And then there's my colleague, Linda Hutchins-Knowles, who is the E-Mobility and Advocacy Senior Manager. And we also have Sonia Marwood helping us out in the chat today. She is an Actera GoEV Ambassador. Here's a little bit about Actera. We are a nonprofit based in Palo Alto, and our mission is to bring people together to create local solutions for a healthy planet. We have been around since 1970, the first Earth Day. Our focus is in addressing climate change while advancing equity. We serve the 9 counties around the San Francisco Bay Area. And here are our objectives for tonight. Our objective is to inspire, inform, and support residents on tight budgets to afford electric vehicles. Here are some of the best practices for Zoom. Please stay muted during the presentation. This meeting is being recorded. You may leave your camera on or off. Please put your questions into the chat, and we will try to answer them to the best of our ability. And here is the agenda for tonight. We will start with the benefits of driving electric vehicles, then get into the incentives, the rebate timeline, then do the post survey, and we'll finally get to any questions that we didn't answer during the presentation. So before we begin, we'd like to introduce and thank our presenting sponsors, Peninsula Clean Energy. This is San Mateo County official electricity provider. By providing cleaner energy at lower rates, Peninsula Clean Energy is an essential part of the fight against climate change in our communities. Peninsula Clean Energy provides one of our region's most generous grant programs for income qualifying individuals who live in the San Mateo County or Los Banos area. We will learn about their programs in detail later in the presentation. We would also like to thank the City of Palo Alto Utilities, which has been a long-time partner of Actera, and we are grateful for their ongoing support. I would now like to introduce Hiromi Kelty, who is the Utilities Program Manager from the City of Palo Alto Utilities, who will talk about the city's electric vehicle programming. Take it away, Hiromi.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us this evening. My name is Hiromi Kelty. I am the program manager overseeing everything EVs for the city of Palo Alto. Many EVs are seen in the Bay Area in California, but Palo Alto is very unique in that we already have 1 in 5 households driving an EV. You'll hear more about why people are switching today, not just for environmental reasons, but financially driving an EV ends up being a lot more cheaper than owning and driving a gas-powered vehicle, which is really important for people to understand. Next slide, please. So for, this webinar is an excellent one. So glad that you've joined us today. But I also want to point out that we offer a lot of other webinars and events. We have some events coming up where you can actually speak to EV owners, Actera EV ambassadors, who really know their cars well. Lots of different models that you could sit in and get to check things out and find out how much they paid and how they applied for various incentives. We also have more webinars coming up where you can ask more questions. The URL is listed below where all of our workshops are. There's full descriptions and RSVPs available there. Next slide, please. As for incentives, we've really focused on working with our multifamily properties. We very intentionally have focused on developing more EV charging access at places where, apartments, condos, townhouses. And if you live in a multifamily property and don't have access to EV charging, please email our EV advisor. The email is listed there, or call them, and we could start having a conversation of what we may be able to do to help your place of residence get EV chargers. We offer rebates of up to $80,000, which is quite large, and should be enough to help cover most of the costs of getting infrastructure at your place of residence. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking on that, Hiromi. Now let's dive into the benefits of driving an electric vehicle. First, there are different types of cars that are out there. This is a gas car that uses a combustion engine and it requires gasoline to power it. Of course, we all know that. The next is a conventional hybrid, which also uses a combustion engine, but the difference is that it has an electric motor that helps the car have better gas mileage. This type of car does not need to charge. The combustion engine charges the electric motor itself. And then the plug-in hybrid is like the conventional hybrid, except you need to plug in the car to charge the electric battery. These cars usually have a very small range of electric mileage, around 20 to 40 miles, depending on the model. Finally, we have the best of them all, the 100% electric car, which is powered by an electric motor. It uses the energy stored in its rechargeable batteries, which are recharged by electricity. And the question is, should I get 100% electric or a plug-in hybrid? You should ask yourself these two questions. Do I have an outlet in my garage or parking spot that I could charge my electric vehicle? Or does my work provide an electric charger? And then another question is, do I drive less than 100 miles per day? If you answered yes to both of these questions, a 100% electric EV should meet your needs. So what are the benefits of driving an electric vehicle? There are many reasons to switch to an electric vehicle. Let's discuss the most compelling benefits of driving electric. The first is, of course, cleaner air and healthier communities. EVs are healthier for people and the planet. The pollutants that come out of a car's tailpipe are harmful to human health, crops, forests, and buildings. And humans' pollution from cars cause many health issues, including stroke, heart disease, lung cancer, asthma, and many other respiratory diseases, as well as these carbon emissions that come out from the tailpipe, like carbon monoxide, nitrogen oxides, sulfur dioxide, hydrocarbons, particulate matter, and aromatics. The good news is that electric vehicles don't have tailpipes and therefore don't pollute our air. Just imagine if everyone drove an electric vehicle, we could experience clean air and blue skies regularly and drastically reduce air pollution and its harmful effects on our health. So the benefit number 2 is that EVs produce less carbon emissions than gas-powered cars. Carbon dioxide, which is created from burning fossil fuels such as coal, oil, and gas, is one of the leading contributors to climate change. As you can see from this slide, transportation accounts for over 40% of California's carbon emissions. And here in Silicon Valley, transportation accounts for over 60% of our emissions. This is why we believe that using clean transportation, such as an electric vehicle, is one of the single most important things that any individual can do to fight climate change. The third reason is the cost saving and carpool access. There are 3 ways in which you will save money as an EV owner. Number 1 is that electric vehicles cost less to fuel. Electricity is 1/3 the price of gas, and the average electric vehicle driver in California saves around $800 to $1,000 a year in fuel costs. And this is from a study done in 2018, so it probably has increased by then. The second reason you're going to earn money is lower maintenance. Electric vehicles have 10 times fewer moving pieces underneath the hood. So electric vehicles don't have to fix or replace their motor oil, the radiator, the spark plugs, timing belt, water pump, and there's no more smog checks. Consumer Reports magazine recently confirmed that electric vehicle owners spend half as much on maintenance than gas car owners over the lifetime of their cars. The last benefit is that electric vehicle owners also get to drive in the carpool lane with only a single occupant. Each new vehicle can get 1 sticker that is valid for up to 4 years. Income qualified residents who purchased a used EV with an expired sticker can apply for an extension. This program is going to end in 2025, so get your carpool sticker while you still can. These clean air vehicle stickers also allow solo EV drivers to drive in the carpool lane during rush hour. The stickers will also get their drivers half off on express lane fees. Just note that you need a fast track device to travel in the express lane. If you are buying used and this benefit is important to you, just make sure you look for a car with a sticker that has not yet expired. And please note that this program is going to end in September of 2025. EV owners also save money when crossing Bay Area bridges. So in the Bay Bridge, you can get $3 instead of $7 during rush hour. And the San Mateo and the Dumbarton bridges, you can get $3 instead of $6 during rush hour. Unfortunately, there's no discount for the Golden Gate Bridge. Finally, the fourth benefit of driving an electric vehicle is that they are fun and easy to drive. EVs have great acceleration due to the instant torque. They are a smooth and quiet ride. There's no vibration or noise produced by the engine because it doesn't have one, only an electric motor. You must test drive an EV in order to find out for yourself just how fun they are to drive. And then charging. Charging your car is more convenient than going to a gas station. Just plug in your car overnight, like how you do with your cell phone. And when you are ready to leave the next morning, your car will be charged. Many workplaces, retailers, and city governments also provide level 2 and level 3 charging stations for their employees and the general public. Utility bill discounts also exist, like CARE and FIRA, which are discount programs for income qualifying residents who receive their energy bill from PG&E. If you meet their income guidelines, you can qualify for up to 20% off your monthly utility bill, which makes fueling your car at home even cheaper. So PG&E has transitioned to time of use pricing in order to minimize the use of fossil fuel power plants. Their time of use pricing encourages people to power down or use less energy from 4 to 9 p.m. This is the time when power from solar energy declines and before wind power ramps up in the late evening hours. So as you can see from this image, your electricity would be cheaper when you charge your car overnight, in the morning, and until early afternoon. So just avoid charging between 4 to 9 p.m. to keep your bill low and to fight climate change. And if you live in an apartment, these are some options that might meet your charging needs. There are smart outlets that your apartment complex can provide to their residents, like the Plug ZIO and the Go Power EV. There's also a concierge service called Currently that will come to you to charge your electric vehicle. There's also hundreds and hundreds of public charging stations all around the Bay Area. So a little message on the state of the market is that the pandemic has caused a semiconductor chip shortage, as well as numerous other supply chain disruptions, which has caused the scarcity in all passenger vehicles, including EVs. So the demand for vehicles exceeds the current supply, and most popular vehicles, both EVs and gas-powered, generally contain a dealer markup of the lowest being $2,000, and then the most expensive being a $10,000 markup. That is the bad news, but the good news is that you can still make your next car electric with some patience, some resourcefulness, and the financial incentives that can substantially reduce the purchase cost. So let's dive into the many local and state incentives that will make an electric vehicle more affordable for you. We'll start off by talking about the new car purchases. If you are considering purchasing a new EV, these rebates are for you. The federal tax credit. I'm going to talk about the federal tax credit as it is existing until now, from now until the new year. So you can get a federal tax credit of up to $7,500 if you purchase an electric vehicle or a plug-in hybrid. The tax credit reduces the amount of taxes you owe by the amount of the credit. So if you owe $10,000 in taxes and purchase an electric vehicle that year, the tax credit brings down the amount you owe down to $2,500. And if the total amount of the tax you owe is less than the credit amount, you just don't get a refund on the extra amount. The credit is going to be based on battery size. So plug-in hybrids get around 4,500. And then if you purchase a 100% EV, you're going to get the full 7,500. And if you lease the EV, the financing company gets to claim the credit, but they can choose to give you or all of the credit in the form of lower lease payments. And then I'm going to share a list of the EVs that qualify for the federal tax credit because there was a new requirement that they have to be manufactured in the US. And so this list is only valid until the end of the year. The list will change starting next year. So we have Audi Q5, the BMW 330e, the X5, the Chrysler Pacifica plug-in hybrid, the Ford Escape plug-in hybrid, the Mustang Mach-E, Ford, the Ford F-Series like the Lightning, the Jeep Grand Cherokee plug-in hybrid, the Jeep Wrangler plug-in hybrid, the Lincoln Aviator plug-in hybrid, the Lucid Air, the Nissan Leaf, the Rivian models, the Volvo S60, and the Mercedes EQS SUV. So these are the vehicles that qualify for the federal tax credit this year. And then starting next year, the federal tax credit will change starting in the new year, 2023. Your electric vehicle will need to pass 2 requirements in order to receive the total amount of $7,500 tax credit. One requirement is that the minerals need to be mined. They need to be mined from the US or a country that has a free trade agreement with the US. It can also be recycled in North America. And if this one passes the requirement, you will receive $3,750. The second requirement is that the 50% of the battery components need to be manufactured or assembled in North America. If this one passes too, it's another $3,750. Combined, it's still $7,500. There's also some changes. So they're changing the Msrp cap price on EVs. So SUV cannot cap out at, should not exceed $80,000, and other vehicles cannot exceed $55,000. And then there's also changes to the income gap. So a person cannot make more than $150,000 for a single filer, $225,000 for head of household, and $300,000 for joint filing. And in 2023, the federal tax credit will also apply to used EVs. So if you want a used EV, the federal tax credit will change starting 2023, and you can get a tax credit of up to $4,000. The car has to at least be 2 years old, and the sales price cannot exceed $25,000. And one last detail about the new federal tax credit that is awesome is that starting in 2024, the buyer can elect to transfer the credit to the dealership which will enable the buyer to receive the credit as a rebate at the point of sale. And this is for new and used EVs. So moving on to the California state rebate. This is if you purchase or lease an EV, you can get a rebate from the state of California, $1,000 for plug-in hybrids and $2,000 for 100% battery electric. And if you wanted a fuel cell, you can get $4,000. You need to complete a form online after you buy your EV or plug-in hybrid to claim this rebate. And then they'll send you a rebate check in the mail. Household income cannot exceed $135,000 for single filers and $200,000 for joint filers. And the MSRP of the vehicle has to be under $60,000 for large vehicles like SUV, pickup trucks, and minivans. And then for regular hatchbacks and sedans, it has to be less than $45,000 MSRP. And there's also an additional rebate for low-income consumers. For the California rebate, individuals who earn less than the income levels on this chart receive an additional $2,500 from the state of California. So this is the original $2,000 plus an additional $2,500. So $4,500 in total if you income qualify. And a check will be mailed to you after you complete the online form and get accepted. So how much does an EV cost? The newer and larger EVs are coming to the market. They're costing between $40,000 to $50,000 before the incentives, but there are also a number of models that cost under $40,000 before incentives and considerably less when they are applied after. So let's take the Nissan Leaf for an example. Some good news is that this year, Nissan reduced the price of the Leaf by $5,000 for the 2022 model year, making it the cheapest EV on the market today. In fact, the lowest trim of the Leaf is now the least expensive of all Nissan models. So here's an example of how you can combine these credits and rebates, which reduces the cost of this Nissan Leaf to only $24,395 when you apply the federal tax credit and the California rebate. So now we're going to discuss two grant programs for Bay Area and California residents who meet certain income qualifications. This is the Driving Clean Assistance Program, which serves Bay Area residents. You must meet the income requirements on this table to qualify for the grant. You can use the grant to purchase new or used battery electric vehicle, hybrid or plug-in hybrid. The grant amount is $5,000 for qualifying residents. There is an update, as you see on the screen. They changed their website. It has a big message that says, as of September 13th, they ran out of funding for this program. So they are no longer accepting applications. It might be in the foreseeable future that they do get more funding. But I just wanted to let you guys know that this is a program that existed before September. So it might come back. The other program that we have is the the Clean Cars for All program. And this requires you to have a 2005 car or older to give it, you have to give it to a dismantler. You also need to fall into income guidelines that are on the next slide, and you need to live in a disadvantaged community. Sonia Marwood is dropping the link in the chat for you guys to check if your zip code falls into their service territory. And so here are the income thresholds for this program. For one person, $54,000. For two people in the household, it's $73,000. And the way that the household size works is any dependents or any roommates, they count as household size. And then your household income and the vehicle you choose is going to determine the amount of money you receive from this program. But the lowest you can receive is $5,500 for turning in your old car and buying a new EV. And then you can get upwards up to $9,500. Also, a part of the Clean Cars for All program is the e-bike program. Qualifying Bay Area residents can also retire their old vehicle for a $7,500 grant to purchase an e-bike. An e-bike is a bicycle with a battery and electric motor that make it easy to go longer distances, carry heavier loads, and climb steep hills. So the California Clean Cars for All program, gives you $7,500 for an e-bike, and they'll also give you a Clipper card. And then separate from the Clean Cars for All is Contra Costa County residents. They can sign up to receive $150 to $300 towards the purchase of an EV. And so these next two grants are county specific, meaning that they only apply to residents who live in these areas. And to explain the first grant, I'd like to introduce Community Outreach Associate Vanessa Shin from Peninsula Clean Energy.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Irvin. And thank you, Actera, for coordinating this great learning opportunity this evening, and for all of you for joining for learning more about electric vehicles. So as Irvin said, I'm here with Peninsula Clean Energy, and I'll be sharing a rebate for residents of San Mateo County and the city of Los Banos. But before we get there, I wanted to provide a little bit about our agency. We're a public agency that was formed to help fight climate change. And the way that we do that is we purchase electricity from clean sources, like the big solar arrays or the big wind turbines on behalf of our customers, which includes residents, as well as businesses, schools, and others. And we do that, not only is it cleaner energy, but it is also at a lower rate to our customers. And so we reinvest all of those earnings back into the community through the form of rebates and other programs so that you can use your clean electricity. And so one of the examples of that is our used EV rebate. Next slide, please. Great, so all residents of San Mateo County, as well as the city of Los Banos, are eligible for our used electric vehicle rebate. You'll see on the right-hand column here, these are the rebates that are not income qualified, so everyone can benefit from. And so if you purchase a used plug-in hybrid, you can get up to $700. If you're going with a used fully electric EV, you can get up to $1,000. And so if you meet the certain income threshold, you may qualify for additional rebates, up to $5,700 for a used plug-in hybrid or $6,000 for a fully electric EV. Next slide, please. And so to say a little bit more about those specific income qualifications, you can take a look at this table here. So if you want to look at your household size on the left-hand column and see if your household income falls under the number listed on the right side. So an example is if you're in a household of 4, if your household has an income of less than $111,000, then you would qualify for an additional rebate. And so just to repeat, if you do meet these income thresholds on the slide, you could get up to $5,700 for a used plug-in hybrid and up to $6,000 for a used electric vehicle. Next slide, please. And the good news is that our rebate does stack with the other state programs that Irvin just mentioned. Here's an example that Actera put together showing what could happen if you qualify for both the Peninsula Clean Energy rebate as well as the Clean Cars for All program. And so in this example, you could take the price of a 2018 Chevy Volt plug-in hybrid from $22,000 potentially down to just under $9,000. And so just wanted to let you know that this program can be combined with others, and Actera has a lot of great resources and worksheets to see if you qualify. And I'll say the last thing to know about this program is that you will need to apply first. So I'll put the link to, oh, I see that we already have, thank you, putting the link to our website of where you can find more information about this program, and encourage you all to check it out and let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you for presenting, Vanessa. So let's move on to the Mce EV program, which is for residents living in the Mce Clean Energy Service Territory, even if your bill comes for PG&E. So if you just live in one of these North or East Bay cities, you can qualify for their EV grant. And you can qualify if your income falls within these income guidelines. Pretty similar to the last charts. And so if you do qualify, you can receive $3,500 towards the cost of a new EV or plug-in hybrid. And so those are all of the incentives that we have at the moment, and they are changing every day, week by week, month by month, as we saw with the Driving Clean Assistance Program. But here is the rebate timeline explaining when you should apply to all of these programs. Number one is before you buy. Apply to those income-based grants that will take approximately 3 to 6 months for them to process your application, and then you'll get approved. And then number two is after you purchase your EV, apply for the California rebate and the Carpool stickers. And then number three is the next year when you're doing your federal taxes, make sure you claim your federal tax credit for purchasing an EV. And so some next steps is to request a free one-on-one consultation with Actera. We're going to identify which rebate programs you qualify for, and we'll give you a personalized action plan for steps you can take to receive your rebate. And then you can request a consultation when you complete our post survey at the end of the event. And here's an example of Henrietta Burrows, who was able to get her own EV using a rebate from Actera, our help from Actera, and is truly satisfied with her driving experience. Now I'm going to hand it over to my colleague, Linda Hutchins-Knowles, who has an important message about EV equity.
Thank you, Irvin. So yes, some of the questions tonight had to do with charging, and I really wanted to emphasize how important that access to charging is. If you want to go to the next slide. So currently, California code requires that every new single-family home be pre-wired for EV charging. So that is awesome if you live in a single-family home, a newly built one. But the multifamily housing, the code is gradually getting better and better for the new apartments and condos, but it's really not keeping pace. So next slide. So there are some barriers for residents of apartments and condos. They are overcomable, but they are real, and Actera is working hard to reduce them. And next slide. We are part of the EV Charging for All Coalition, and we are advocating with the State Housing and Community Development Agency to increase the access for multifamily housing for EV charging. That website there, the bit.ly link, if you want just to go back and drop that in the chat, the bit.ly /EV access is where you could express interest in supporting the coalition. Okay, and next slide, thank you. We do have a chance for you to speak up for equity. Our coalition has sponsored a bill that passed the Assembly and passed the Senate, and it's sitting on Governor Newsom's desk to be signed. It's called Senate Bill 1482. We also just nickname it the EV Equity Bill. And this bill would actually insist that the state agency study how to make sure there's equitable access to charging for all new apartments and condos. So we'd love to have you support that at that bit.ly link. You can send a pre-written email to Governor Newsom asking him to sign this bill into law. And so Actera is also going to be working once we get the new construction to be equitable to support existing multifamily housing to install EV charging for the residents. So stay tuned and just know that we're not just doing education, we're also doing policy work so that we can bring down the barriers to EV ownership. And I think that's the end of my slide. What's the next one, just to make sure? Yep, I'm finished. Thank you.
Thank you so much for speaking on that very important piece, Linda. We want to let you know about upcoming events. So visit several Peninsula homes that have made the switch to clean, green electricity. You can taste food made on an induction cooktop, view 2 to 3 EVs at the Palo Alto homes, and explore the already homes that have made many green features, including heat pump water heaters and HVAC systems, solar panels, native plants, and electric gardening tools. Don't miss this rare opportunity to view these fossil-free homes and EVs. This is brought to you by the City of Palo Alto Utilities as well. We also have an upcoming EV charging workshop here at Actera, where our guest speaker and EV charging expert, Matt Landre, will speak on how to charge your EV with ease. So all of your EV charging questions come to this workshop and we'll answer them with an expert. The link to register for this event will be in the chat as well. And so we're gonna drop the link to the post survey. We ask you to please give us some feedback on how we did tonight, how we can improve. And then this is also where you can sign up for your free consultation if you wanted some extra help on applying for the rebates and programs. Yeah. And then just want to say thank you again to our presenting sponsors, Peninsula Clean Energy and the City of Palo Alto Utilities, for making tonight's program possible. And so this is where we're pretty much done with the presentation. But if you want to come off mute and ask a question personally, or if you just want to type your final questions into the Q&A in the chat, we can answer them. But if you don't have any questions, guys can feel free to leave. And thanks for joining us tonight. We're going to email you after the event, probably by Friday, with a list of all of the incentives that are available. And we'll also email you guys the Google Slides that we presented tonight. So thank you for coming out. And if you don't have any questions, I'll see you next time. Thank you. Have I talked about San Jose incentives already? I kind of did some research on it and I didn't find any worthwhile talking about. Maybe my research was wrong, but we've done research on it before and we just don't see any EV programs. So maybe I'm wrong, but we will update that in the future. And then does the County of Santa Clara have any rebates or incentives? Like I said, the County of Santa Clara didn't have any incentives. I think San Jose is in the County of Santa Clara, so that would be a no. And then Jane says, no, I mean in multiple user systems, sometimes people hog the chargers. So it's nice to be able to charge the amount of time a person can charge. Yeah, so sometimes they notify you when your car is done charging. So you can go and pull out of that charging spot so someone else can charge their car. I know they do that at like Apple and Google for their employees. They let their employees know that their charging has been complete, so they can let someone else charge. And then earlier in the chat, Romaine said, is there any income limitations? Yes, there is for some programs. For the California rebate, it was $2,000 for a 100% battery electric. And then that one you don't have to income qualify for. But if you want the additional rebate with the extra $2,500, you do need to income qualify. And that California rebate, I forgot to say, does also come with a $2,000 electrical panel upgrade. So you can upgrade to a level 2 charger in your home. And then anything from PG&E, Scott says, no, not from PG&E, any programs for EVs, but they do have a specific electricity rate plan for charging your EV. So if you want cheaper electricity during the night that you're going to be charging your EV, the electricity will be cheaper during, like, I think it's like midnight to 6 a.m. So you can set your car to charge during those hours and it'll be the cheapest electricity rate. And then Verge said, can we put public pressure on the county, or did they use up all of the available money? Yeah, we can definitely put pressure on the county. I think you're talking about Santa Clara County. I think they should have an EV program like Marine Clean Energy and other counties do. So we'll advocate for that. I totally agree. And then yes, Audrey said in the chat, if you live in San Jose or purchase your EV in San Jose, you can apply for a parking decal that will allow you to park in city lots and meters for free. So that's another benefit if you purchase an EV. And then link for the charger events. Audrey dropped the link, but it should have been dropped in the chat. Let me double check if it did. I think Sonia, can you drop the EV charging workshop in the chat for Jane, please? Yeah, Linda, go ahead.
Yeah, I just wanted to mention that for Palo Alto residents at Actera, we are offering free one-on-one case management to help you to make that connection between the incentives you qualify for and actually applying for them and getting them. So be sure to request that consultation so that we can follow up with you on that and provide that service. And thanks to City of Palo Alto Utilities for sponsoring that.
Yeah, definitely. That's in the post survey. So make sure you check mark that little part that you want a consultation with us. Yes, I will include all of those links that I've been putting in the chat in the follow-up email as well. Yeah. Any last minute questions? Yeah, it doesn't matter what county you're in, even if you're in San Mateo, because there is county specific programs for that area. We can definitely help you out. As long as you're in the Bay Area, we'll give you a consultation. So there's many programs for you. Yeah. Yeah, you're welcome, Lynn. Yeah, thanks for coming, Miguel. Have a good night.
I wanted to add to that we could do the consultations in Spanish and in Vietnamese and in English. So if you prefer those languages, we offer consultations in those languages for you.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we recently hired some College Core fellows who are going to join us, one in Spanish and one in Vietnamese. So that's exciting. And then we'll also be trying to do the financial incentive like this one in Vietnamese to the Vietnamese community, because the Vietnamese population in San Jose is the second largest outside of Vietnam. So it's definitely a necessity here in the Bay Area. Okay, I don't see any more questions in chat, so I just want to thank everybody for coming out. Yeah, this is pretty much the end of the presentation. So any last minute things anyone wants to say? I will stop the recording.